Okay, Katana project here. So if you see that broken tip right there, we're going to reshape that tip and then figure out how to shape the sides down to another sharp edge there without doing any damage to the angles. See, I took a piece of conduit here and taped it, plastic conduit, and taped it to the sharp edge. I've learned my lesson about sharp edges laying around. Anyway, we're going to do it with this pretty rough stone here. We're just going to stone it until it's in shape. Okay, you can see I've already got the shape coming back close to where it needs to be. Then there's the issue of the hammering. I may have to do a little acid etching right there on the tip to make the hammering come all the way around. That's the part that's tempered. But it's looking a lot better, and I'm optimistic I can get this done without screwing it up too much. Got the tip redone. Looks pretty good. Geometry I was able to keep. So we'll get that honed down with a jig and see what we can do. Now we're going to go and get this blade tip fixed, otherwise known as the Kissaki. I made this jig. You can see it. It's just a couple pieces of oak scrap. So that I could clamp down on this blade and have a firm surface to work with. I've learned the hard way that when messing with this blade, you have to protect the edge and all that. But the other thing too is if I'm going to be grinding on this and so forth, I want to have a good solid foundation without a lot of movement, and that's what this block does. So you can see it kind of sits on all sides flat. After reshaping the blade, we got a little bit of a flat spot on there. So we're going to be working to get this flat spot out. We're going to start off with some 320 grit on my sander, only taking just the bulk amount off that I need. And with the rest of it, we're going to be using some stones and other types of stones that I have. But for right now, we're just going to be using the sander very gently. And what I'm going to be doing is marking with a Sharpie where I want material removed so that I don't go outside the lines and goof the tip up. You know, this is, like I said, this is a free sword. It's not worth a whole lot. It is genuine, so I want to try and maintain the craftsmanship the best I can, maintaining these facets and angles. The Hasaki, the Yokoti, the Bashi, all these little sword tip parts. I am using a diagram here so that I kind of somewhat know what I'm talking about. You know, I kept calling the suka the handle during that video, but from now on I am going to try to use the traditional Japanese names for these parts of the sword. So it's January 1st, 2024, New Year. It'll be interesting to see how long this takes, because I do plan on taking my time and not goofing it up if I can avoid it. I don't know if you can see, but I've done a fairly decent job with the sander, getting it back into shape. There's not really any more flat spot, except for maybe at the very tip, but I'm going to work that out with some stones. The key here was just taking a little at a time, and that's it. So it should come out okay. I was using 320 grit on the belt sander, which is a knife making type grit. So anyway, on to final shaping and polishing with the stones, and we'll have this part done. Okay, I'm going to start with my rougher Luray stone right here, a little oil, and we're just going to take it and we're going to work out all the marks from the sander while maintaining our facets here. Find that flat spot. There you go. I made this little jig out of aluminum to put over the tip, and the reason why I did that was to give me a straight edge as I polish down with our medium stone to make sure that I keep the facet line, or what we would call the yokote, nice and straight, so there's a nice break and distinction between the flat part of the blade going down to the tip. You know, doing what I can with what I have here in the garage. Very similar to what I have seen some sword restoration videos doing. But anyway, we'll see how it works. Okay, we got the tip pretty much reshaped. I will say it is razor sharp all the way down to the end now, and that's a good thing. Next thing we have to do is work our way down to finer stones while also polishing the facets to the right dimension. If you notice, this dimension should be the same as this dimension, but you can kind of see how it's a little wider here than it is here. We want this to be a geometric as it comes up. So we're going to work with some of the stones to, and I actually have brought in a Japanese 600 grit whetstone and a bunch of other stones like this. We're going to go ahead and try to fix this because originally it was proportional, but when the tip broke and I had to reshape, it brought this in a little closer. So we'll go ahead and reshape this, hopefully to the correct dimensions. I'll have to choose my battles here. If it looks like it's too hard to do or we'll mess it up, then I probably won't. Nobody's going to notice, but I want it to be right and as close to original as possible, so that's what we're going to do. Now we're taking our 2000 grit stone here and we're going to finish polishing up this new facet. I'm not going to try real hard to get this angle perfect again because I would have to take too much metal off in a place I really don't want to. So we're going to just keep working with it. We want to get these bevels back sharp and clean, these angles. But once we're done with that, the tip will be essentially done, and then we'll move on to polishing the rest of the sword. Okay, our Kissaki's coming out pretty good here. One thing I have to do is I had to pull the blade out a little bit from the jig and pull some of the tape off so that I could get a stone in here and then work the flat side of the blade, because that's crucial to getting the, you can see the angle here. That's crucial to maintain in this angle, is very flat stone. And you have to polish the rest of the sword with the grain of the metal. We were able to shape the tip by coming down with various stones, but in the final polishing, it'll be more of this motion here, this motion here, and this motion here to keep these angles and keep the polish and the grain all aligned. The tip came out pretty good. I'd say we're pretty much done with this portion of the project here. Pretty happy with the way they came out. Got some more polishing to do along the whole thing. While working on this, I quit paying attention to where my finger was and I cut myself. Very common working on these things. They are fucking sharp.